This is lesson 195, if you want to open up your books to that section. This is an interesting lesson. Many of you have probably written gratitude journals. You know, you get up in the morning, name 5 things you're grateful for. I've done this with our son, Jeffrey. You know, he's a teenager now, and I'm always thinking it's good to do this. I was listening to NPR the other day, and they said that children really are not grateful. But then they do their studies. And they say gratitude is a developed skill inside of us. And even though we can develop it rather quickly, it needs to be practiced. And, you know, the Course is never telling us that we can't be grateful for the things in our lives, but this lesson takes us a step deeper. And that's what the Course is always doing for us, taking us a step deeper. We're not grateful that we have more in perspective to those who have less. That's not gratitude. We're not grateful that we are healthy because, gosh, we could be like so-and-so. That's not gratitude either. That's why this lesson is difficult, challenging, but can lead us to a deeper truth about ourselves. Now, that does not take away the idea of gratitude. It says that gratitude is an aspect of love. So it is important that we express that, but not because of things, because love is our essence. And that's what you get in the middle of the meat of this workbook lesson. So let's look at the lesson. Look at the first paragraph. It says, and these are kind of the beginning steps of helping us to understand a deeper approach to gratitude. It says, gratitude is a lesson that's hard to learn for those who look upon the world amiss. And frankly, that's all of us. Because we are looking at the world to meet our needs. We are looking to the world to make our actions acceptable or not acceptable. So we are constantly looking outside of ourselves. So what this is saying is that's a tendency we have. The moment that we entered into a body, we looked at the world amiss. So the idea that somebody is looking at it right now could happen as we shift our perception. That's what a miracle is shifting our perception to see what God sees. A holy instant is our ability to focus on our unity instead of separation. So we can do that, but it's a process. So it's important for us to know when this says it's hard for us, it's a lesson hard for us to learn for those who look on the world amiss, that's all of us. So gratitude, you know gratitude's hard. Even if you did a gratitude journal, you knew that was hard, right? Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Sometimes it's just hard to come up with 5 things that are different from day to day, right? So what this is saying is, to understand this, it's difficult because we have to take our perception of what we are grateful for off of the outcomes of the world and focus on our inner awareness. And that's tough for us because we spend so much of our time in the outward perception of the world. So it says, the most that they can do, and this is where we kind of reiterate what I said before, the most that they can do is see themselves as better off than others, and they try to be content because another seems to suffer more than they. Now, none of us say that, but we have thought, thank God I live in a country where I don't worry about gunshots, walking outside and getting shot. You know, I mean, over with the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, Palestinians were over in Israel and they were stabbing people that they thought were of the Jewish faith. You know, so it's kind of scary. Get on a bus, you could get hurt. In this country, that could happen, but no, it's not the norm here, right? So you might say, well, I'm grateful for that. And this is where we kind of say, and this is tough on us. This is a mistake, it says, basically. We can't be grateful because we have something that someone else does not have. That's looking at the world amiss. Okay, doesn't mean that that's not what we've done. We've clearly all done this, and we still do this. But it said that this is something much deeper than that. It goes on to say how pitiful and deprecating are such thoughts when this is why we are grateful. For who has cause for thanks while others have less cause? And who could suffer less because he sees another suffer more? Your gratitude is due him, due God alone, who made all cause of sorrow disappear throughout the world. And now this whole paragraph goes back to what we've talked about. These are very deep lessons and what we've talked about before in the fact that God did not make a world of suffering. So a world of suffering, when we experience suffering, is not the world that God made. Now, The Course also says, even though God did not make this world can become a doorway to the awareness of God. How do we get there? Well, it certainly is always telling us that love is the way to that awareness. How is that? By seeing everything and every experience within this world as either a call for love or an extension of love. Okay? That's a very simple statement. We've probably, if we've been with the Course very long at all, we've all heard it or said it or read it. But practicing that is quite a different thing. To recognize that everyone is either extending love to you or calling out for love or for help from us, loving help, right, is not as easy to offer when we think that someone is actually hurting us, harming us, purposely doing so. So it is a process. So you say, well, how do I get there? Because definitely I've seen the world amiss. If this is how I see the world, how can I offer gratitude for such a world? And what it says is you can't get there because you don't know how to. But there is a power within you that does, and that is the Holy Spirit. That's the Christ presence. That's what we're to become more comfortable with. That is the voice that we are to turn to, that can help us to experience love in the midst of seeming hate and attack. And those, when we do experience it, that's the shift in perception. That's the miracle. That's that holy instant that allows us to feel a love or connection for every living thing. And so our gratitude should be that that is true, that God can help us to get to that there's a power within us that can give us the answer to extending that love and to accepting that love. And that's why we have gratitude. Gratitude that is the truth, whether or not we're always good at practicing it, whether or not we're always good at listening for that. Does that make sense? Okay, let's go on. Your gratitude is due him because he made all sorrow disappear throughout the world. The second paragraph says, it is insane to offer thanks, as it says, because of suffering. So if we're grateful because we don't suffer, we're in some ways offering thanks because I've escaped it, but we know it's out there. So that doesn't help us. And again, you might say, well, what do I do? Become aware of it and ask for help. That's the only way we're going to make this kind of paradigm shift that this is asking us for. But it is equally insane to fail in gratitude. It says, to one who offers you the certain means whereby all pain is healed and suffering replaced with laughter and with happiness. So this is kind of what I'm saying. Even though he did not make a world of suffering and pain, he becomes the answer to the world that we can experience of gratitude, of happiness, of love. Nor could the even partly sane refuse. Now, this is kind of interesting. This is kind of talking about us. So it says, he's offering you a way out. Are you going to take it? Because it says this, nor could the even partly sane refuse to take the steps with which he directs and follow in the way he sets before them to escape a prison that they thought contained no door to the deliverance they now perceive. So it's saying here, at least if you're halfway sane, you're going to turn to him. You're going to give it a shot. That's what it says. So if we're not giving it a shot, meaning if we're not doing our workbook lessons, if we're not practicing this, then we're more than just partly insane. We're pretty much insane. Isn't that what the Course is telling us most of the time? We're insane. If we do not follow the path that can lead us home, that can lead us out of the prison. You know, it'd be like somebody saying, I'm going to plan a jailbreak. If you stay here in this jail, you'll die. But if we make a break for it, even if you're not sure about the break, we could get out. Would you try it? Or would you stay in jail? This is really scary. Karen's over there nodding going, yeah, I'm going to give it a shot. You know, I mean, if you've ever watched a World War II movie and they're stuck in the Nazi concentration camps and the guys all go, you know, it's Stalag 13. It's, I can't even whistle, you know, the whoop, whoop, whoop. You know, they're all going, let's make the break, right? Let's dig the tunnel. Let's put the dirt in our pants and walk around the yard and kick it out through our pant leg. You know, let's maybe make the break and get out of this place. And it says, that's what it says here. Nor could even the partly sane refuse to do this. So we don't sit there and go, I don't understand this. I don't get this. If we believe that God is a God of love, if we believe that his will for us is this happiness and joy and laughter that it seems to say, why are we staying in our pain and suffering? And the answer really is because we're just pretty used to it. We're pretty used to the pain and suffering. We get kind of complacent in it. So, well, what else am I supposed to do? It says there's an answer for you just beyond the door. Don't be insane and stay in the pain and suffering. What do they say? That the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Don't stay in the concentration camp thinking that you're going to get a different result if you have an option to escape. Don't stay in a world of suffering if there's an option to escape. That's what it's saying.